Okay, in my last video, I was talking about, or actually not the last video, but the two videos before that. The one that's entitled the Visible Video Telescope. This is it for those of you who have not seen the video, because I know I've gotten a few subscribers over the last week. It looks like a video camera, but it's not. It's basically a high-power digital monocular designed specifically, I would say, for outdoor use. It is not cheap. It is $2,000. Worse than that, though, it's no longer available. This particular image comes from 10 years ago. Now, I saw the device. I got a chance to use the device. It was a trial run. I couldn't hang on to it as much as I really wanted to. Fast forward 10 years, though, and the video cameras have really taken over. They could easily trump this device in its capabilities for somebody who has low vision, except for one thing. The viewfinder. The viewfinder is great for somebody who has low vision or photosensitivity like myself, because you can zero in on your image without having to worry about the extra glare that the sun would produce on a glossy screen, especially nowadays with these touch screens. It would also be a lot easier to see when you're out in bright light in the first place. So, what's the problem? The problem is these cameras, well, this is what I'm using, or what I would be using right now if it wasn't blind. And for those of you who are curious, take a look at my video, JVC GRD70U review and problem. Anyway, you can see that this one has a viewfinder, and this one's actually not expensive. Well, it depends on what you determine expensive, but in terms of video cameras, this is the middle of the road. It's about 500 bucks, or was when new. Nowadays, you probably couldn't get 5 cents for it, at least not the one I have. However, these are the only cameras left with viewfinders on board. This is the Canon Vixia HF G20. We've got the G30, and also, I believe, if you were able to scrounge around for a used one, you could get the G10. This is one example. Another example is the Panasonic HCX 920. A third example is the Sony HDR, I think this is the PJ670V. All of these cameras have viewfinders. So what else do they have in common? Let me get this tab open. Excuse me. So what do they have in common? Well, they all have viewfinders. They also all are at the top of the consumer range. These cameras are all around $1,000. Now, the video telescope, when it came out, was $2,000. So $1,000, you know, that's still half the price. But these are not meant for your average consumer. Now, the average consumer could learn to use one of these, but these are the kinds of cameras that are chock full of manual control, and you can get a lot more creative with your videos. They also have bigger sensors in them, and a lot of capabilities that would be geared towards an amateur videographer or somebody who needs a secondary camera in a video production, for instance, in a TV show. I believe I saw one review where they're actually using this particular camera, the Canon, for that very purpose. But these are not your $200–300 low-end cameras. Not even the mid-range cameras. The $500 ones have viewfinders anymore. And I don't know, I can see why this would be the case. Again, here's the Panasonic and the Sony. But I can see why this would be the case. People would prefer convenience The average consumer would probably want convenience over anything else. That's actually why a lot of people are using smartphones these days. But if you want a video camera for better video quality, better magnification, what have you, if you don't pay for what is essentially a top-of-the-line consumer just under the professional cameras, that particular model, if you don't get that one, you won't get a viewfinder. And the consumer, the mass market, would prefer to have it that way, I would think, to save weight and have something they could throw in their pocket. And they're not really interested in the whole manual control aspect that something like this Canon would give you. The problem is, if you have low vision, having manual control would actually be an advantage. You can adjust the exposure to effectively see things a lot better in dimmer conditions, or if, for me, since I'm photosensitive, if the exposure is too bright, you could turn it down, and that way it wouldn't hurt my eyes so much. But the big thing is, the viewfinder in itself is a very handy tool, and I just wanted to go on record as saying this, I just think it's a shame that we have to, if we want a viewfinder in our video cameras, if we feel that that's an important tool to have, that we need to shell out $1,000. And a lot of you are saying, well, get a used camera. I'd prefer to have something that is fully compatible with the 40-inch LG TV that we have in my house, which is high definition, HD capable. And the Canon, Panasonic, and Sony that I've showed you here are all HD cameras. But now keep in mind that I haven't shopped for a camera for 8 years, but I've seen this transition happening, and I don't know. Originally, I wasn't sure about, why would you want a viewfinder since nobody seems to be using them. Then I got to thinking about it, especially after, for those of you who do not know, I have a second-hand Nikon D70 DSLR. And it doesn't have live view, and I have to say, I don't miss having live view at all. The only exception is having to do any sort of super accurate focusing. I can't see well enough through the viewfinder to have manual focus engaged. But that is the only downside. I don't miss having the LCD screen at all. And in outdoor conditions, it's a real help to have that viewfinder. And I think that I'm thinking about using this both as a digital monocular and as a video camera. Actually for you guys. This is not just for myself, but also for you guys. This is for YouTube. I'd like to be able to get a better quality video in my reviews. But no, I just think that it's a bit of a jip to have to pay $1,000 to have a viewfinder, which is, like I said, really useful tool. I mean, has the mass market. Well, I know a lot of people probably don't think about these things. I'm obviously not the average consumer, but what do you guys think? Is the viewfinder, should it make a comeback? Is what I'm saying. I think it should. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.